All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into a century-old geopolitical doctrine that suggests some of the world's most dangerous conflicts aren't just accidents, but maybe, just maybe, they're part of a predictable and frankly terrifying strategic game.
So let's kick things off with the central puzzle, a really high-stakes question that's probably on a lot of our minds right now.
And yeah, that's a massive question, isn't it? Kind of terrifying to even think about. Now look, there are a million different answers and historians are going to be arguing about this forever. But for this explainer, we're going to zero in on one really powerful strategic theory from our source that offers a starkly clear, if unsettling, explanation.
So to really get why this might be happening, we've got to rewind a bit. We need to look at a core piece of geopolitical thinking that's been influencing military strategy for more than 100 years. It's called the Heartland theory. Okay, so what exactly is the Heartland? Picture this. The huge, sprawling, connected landmass of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, all mashed together. The theory basically says that whoever controls this central landmass, and more importantly, its ability to trade with itself over land, well, that power effectively controls the world. And right there, that's where you see the fundamental conflict. The United States, right? It's a naval power through and through. Its whole game is built on controlling the world's sea routes. But a unified Heartland? One that can trade on land with railways, well, it becomes totally self-sufficient. It just doesn't need the sea anymore. And that, right there, is a direct existential threat to any power whose dominance is built on the Navy. Okay, so if you're that naval power, what do? What's your playbook? Well, according to this doctrine, it's basically a two-step plan. First, you do everything you can to stop one single country from taking over and unifying the whole thing. Think about the US jumping into World War I and World War II to stop Germany. And second, if you can't stop a power from getting big, you make sure the countries inside the Heartland are always at each other's throats. You keep them fighting so they can never, ever team up.
And that, of course, brings us right to what's happening today. This growing alliance between Russia, Iran, and China, it's a direct challenge to this 100-year-old game plan. It's a huge chunk of the Heartland starting to come together. And if they pull it off, you can bet other countries in the area might just follow suit, creating that self-sufficient trading bloc we talked about. From the viewpoint of this theory, the US doesn't really have a choice. It has to act, and act decisively, to fracture this new alliance.
So how do you fracture that block? Well, you find the cracks, the internal fault lines, and you push. So let's zoom in. Pivot from that big global picture to a really critical regional rivalry right at the heart of it all. Saudi Arabia versus Iran.
And look, this isn't just some simple disagreement. This rivalry is built on some seriously deep-seated conflicts. First up, how they're governed. You've got a pro-US monarchy in Saudi Arabia going up against an anti-US theocracy in Iran. Then there's the ideology. Each side basically thinks the other system is totally illegitimate. One calls it heresy, the other calls it blasphemy. And then, layered right on top of all that, you have the ancient sectarian divide between Sunni and Shia Islam.
And if you want to get a sense of just how intense that Sunni-Shia divide is, the source uses a pretty stark analogy that says, think of it like the historical wars between Protestants and Catholics in Europe. We're not just talking about a difference in beliefs, we're talking about a centuries-old rivalry where the bad blood runs incredibly deep.
So, this intense rivalry, it's the perfect stage for a super high-stakes game of survival. And if you look at it through the lens of game theory, Saudi Arabia might be playing the most dangerous hand of all. And why do I say that? Well, just put yourself in Saudi Arabia's shoes for a second. You look to the future, and frankly, it looks pretty grim. Your entire economy is built on one thing, oil. An asset that's not only going to run out eventually, but one that the world is actively trying to move away from. With electric cars and all that. Their attempts to switch things up to build a new economy based on knowledge or tourism, they've mostly fizzled out. So their current path? It leads straight to ruin.
So when you know you're going to lose the game you're in, what do? You flip the whole board over. And that leads to this desperate, really high-risk strategy. Step 1, you try to provoke a massive war between your rivals. Get the US, Israel, and Iran to go at it. Step 2, you sit back and hope they just weaken and destroy each other. And step 3, after all the chaos, when the dust settles and your enemies are exhausted, you emerge to take control.
Now, here's the really crucial part to understand. This isn't about some surefire plan to win. Not at all. It's about recognizing that the current game is totally rigged against you. From a pure game theory perspective, when you know your current path leads to certain doom,
Chaos becomes the only logical move. It's a total long shot, a roll of the dice, but it's the only strategy that even offers the possibility of a different future.
Okay, so when you put all this together, this cold, hard strategic analysis, the Heartland doctrine, the intense regional rivalries, and this game theory of a desperate nation, the source makes three pretty bold, even provocative predictions about where all of this is headed.
So, what are they? What happens next? Well, here are three predictions for the very, very near future.
Think of these as the logical endpoints if this game we've been exploring plays out to its conclusion. First, the source predicts that to really fracture that Heartland bloc, the US is going to have to send in ground troops. Second, and this might be surprising, despite the crazy high stakes, no nuclear weapons will be used. And third, a deeply controversial prediction, that the Al-Aqsa Mosque will be destroyed at some point in all this. Now again, to be clear, these are not certainties, but they are the potential outcomes when these strategies are followed all the way through.
And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty sobering thought. When we look at the world through the lens of these powerful, long-standing doctrines, these game theory models, are we just watching a script that was written a long time ago play out in real time? It's a heavy question, but one worth thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me for